Hi everybody, welcome to Tharp World. I have completely lost track of what episode this is. We've done so many episodes that I don't even know. Today is very exciting. Maybe some of you have seen on social media, which we do about an hour before the show. We just share kind of like little appetizers of what the show is going to be about today. And I'm very excited to bring you guys something that I've been really thinking about lately a lot about, and that is the strange and wonderful world of men's fashion. I was exploring San Francisco recently, and I couldn't help but notice that the city is simply crawling with men that tuck their shirts in. Not just young men, but men of all ages and of all shapes and sizes, tucking their shirts in various different ways. And I had to find out for myself what is the proper way to tuck? How do they keep the shirts tucked? They're walking, they're sitting, they're drinking coffee, some of them are riding bikes, all with the shirts tucked in. And I'm thinking, this cannot be. It can't just be as simple as that, and it isn't. And then the session started, as it usually does. Let me give you a sample of what we're going to do today on Tharp World. As we ponder this strange world and the baffling choices that some men make with their clothing, I'd like to show you a piece I did recently this week. This is a piece entitled Tucking Against All Odds. This is a larger gentleman, okay? And he works he's probably some kind of an executive, or he works in finance, I don't know. I probably saw him in San Francisco, or a million different versions of him. But he tucks his shirt, it stays tucked all day. How is it happening? He's a larger gentleman. The odds are that the shirt will become untucked as soon as he starts moving. However, it does not. It's a mystery. Hence the title of the piece, Against All Odds. All you need to see is the man and the shirt, the tie, and the pants. Sometimes when things baffle us and intrigue us, we just have to make art about it. So that's what the show's about today. Let me explain how I'm going to do this. So we have some wood panels. They've been gessoed with kind of a gritty gesso. It's kind of sandpaper-like, because I've done a lot of research this afternoon about different ways to tuck, different rules about tucking, and what men find like acceptable and unacceptable about how to tuck your shirt. It's far more extensive than I could ever have imagined. So this tissue paper is going to be used to draw some images on. I'm going to use this self-leveling clear gel as my transfer medium. I'm going to paint it ever so lovingly upon these wood panels with the brush using water, very simple. I have some paper towels in case it gets messy, which it usually does. I have a coffee with a nice lipstick stain. I will just turn that away from the camera. And some water when I get parched. Stay hydrated, everyone. Keep your beverages close. Water. Okay. And all of my materials, which I will use today, all of these pens. This is my my collection of drawing utensils. I have all kinds of different pens. I have graphite. The best thing about this technique, this tissue paper technique, and you can use it on all different kinds of surfaces, is that it takes all kinds of materials. You can use oil-based Sharpies, which I'm going to use. I have them over here. And they kind of work the best. They're like the more opaque pens work better for this technique, because you get more coverage and you get just kind of a better stick onto the tissue paper. So I use a lot of Sharpies. Graphite works. These China markers work really well for this technique as well. Let's see. And even colored pencils will show up. So I'll be using colored pencils too, because what I'm going to do is try to capture all the patterns and different things on the men's shirts. And all you're going to see is, well, you may see some faces, but mostly torsos in this series. You may see some shoes, but I think what we're going to do is it's going to be from the neck to the ankles, because this is about the clothing, not the men. I probably will draw their heads on later, or else like make little panels for their faces and heads perhaps, or I won't, I don't even know. But when one has an obsession like I do, and like we all do, we all get them, you know, don't lie. You gotta like get it out of your system. So this is why I have my own show, and you can have your own show too. And then get that out of your system, whatever it is, whatever obsession is going on. So let's start with this one. So the first phenomenon I want to discuss is like something that I've noticed in all the blogs that I've been reading is like the do's and don'ts of tucking. They're like, first of all, guys, don't try the half tuck. The half tuck is a major fashion flaw. I saw it, untuck. It's either you tuck or you don't tuck, but don't half tuck. Guys don't like it. I'll show you what it looks like. It's kind of like when a man, and they say it's usually the left side. Oh well, this will be like the right side. And they say, like, don't try to do that because everybody knows you did it on purpose. It's like you're trying too hard. And guys seem to just like think that that's really dumb. For all the fashion things that I've read, like they just like don't like it. So it kind of looks like this, and the guy's like walking down the street, and half the shirt is untucked. You know what I read too? That it's a step above walking out of the bathroom with toilet paper on your shoe is the half tuck. That's how bad it is. So if any guys are watching this and they're, look down, okay? Look down, and if half of it's like hanging, either tuck it or untuck. I mean, these are just ways to help each other out, you know? It kind of looks like he just got off work, but who knows? If you just walk down the street in San Francisco these days, a lot of men are tucking. Times are changing, y'all. The fashion landscape is changing. It's not good, it's not bad, it just is. And what we do as artists is we just observe. And we're like, well, what the tuck? Sorry. So waiting. There's going to be a lot of bad tucking puns because this is my show. We don't have anyone telling us what to do. We do whatever we want. So let's just add a little shading. Have you noticed that the bad drawing book has kind of transferred right into the art? I no longer do a bad drawing book. Some of the worst drawings turn out to be some of the best art. So I also noticed on the blogs, like what they would do is they would shade where the pants and shirts should not bunch up. I mean, it's ruthless, you guys. Who knew? Let's make the man's shirt a gentle crisscross, a nice, I just got off work kind of situation. Maybe, I don't know what this guy does for a living, but, halfway through the day he likes Starbucks, Jamba Juice, Togos. Name brand refreshment. Something safe and dependable. Something that he can really rely on, It's going to taste the same each time. With all the changes in the world, you can count on Togo. It's going to be the same. So is Starbucks. And a man who tucks needs something reliable. This is all just stuff I'm making up. I have absolutely no idea if it's true or not. But it's just, it's part of the beautiful fantasy. Where's he going? What's he doing? Why is the shirt so untucked? He kind of looks disheveled. Other men are like, did you just come out of the bathroom? Let me show you what I have so far. If you see this on yourself or someone you love, do something. It's like food in someone's mouth or in someone's teeth. Don't let it continue. Be a good friend. Be a good friend and say something. That's what we do for each other. I like this. I like the pinstripe on this blue. It's like he just got off work, or maybe he's going on an OkCupid date. If that's the case, this is really going to be a disaster. Okay, San Francisco. Look out. This gentleman he's on the loose. Let's add a little bit more color to the gentleman's He's a pasty gentleman. He perhaps doesn't see a lot of sun. And let's give his pants a little bit of shading here. It's the half tuck. I had to get it out of the way because it really is one of the major don'ts that I read about. The half tuck. Okay. Now, what we're going to do, and the way this is going to go is you kind of get a rhythm with these. You draw, transfer, wait 5 minutes, transfer another one, peel this one, do another one, and it's like an assembly line. And we'll see if I can get the rhythm down. If you let it dry too much before you peel the paper off, the paper sticks to the panel, which is okay, and you can work with it. That's not the intention. And if you let it not dry enough, it won't transfer. It takes about 5 minutes. I would say 5 to 7 minutes for it to transfer. And then you can peel the paper off right when there's like a sweet spot where it peels off perfectly and the paper doesn't stick. We'll see how this goes. A big problem with men's tucking is that the shirt comes untucked, obviously. It's a big problem because when a man is giving a presentation and he nervously tucks the shirt at least 5 times in 10 minutes, other men become suspicious. It's like horses, you know, they can sense when one of them is nervous or skittish. It makes the other men skittish, okay? So if you're giving a presentation or PowerPoint or doing something like that, or talking to employees or getting reprimanded, be careful not to fidget and tuck. Apparently it's just not a good thing to do. Too much tucking means that your shirt and your clothing need a revamp because either the clothes are ill-fitting or you're just a very nervous person and you're in the wrong line of work or something, or you've had too much Starbucks. So I've learned that a lot of tucking, needless tucking, I mean the shirt is not coming untucked, you're just tucking because you're nervous. It's bad, so don't do that. These are just things that I read. I haven't really observed this. So here's, I like the little brayer because it has the most pressure, the most even pressure. So I'm going to work on the don'ts first. And it's funny because all of the do's were like, you know, pretty simple. It's like have the shirt fit right, line the collar buttons up with the belt. I mean, it's all kind of, it goes without saying though, it's so hard to do because as soon as you move, the shirt comes untucked. It's a big cause of stress in an already very stressful world. So this is what it will look like. You can do this on almost any surface that is flat and relatively. I was going to use some of these wood pieces that I found with fencing, but it will, if it's bumpy, it's going to come out kind of inconsistently. And I'm not sure how this is going to work, but hopefully this kind of gritty texture will be good. So we'll leave this one for a bit, and we're going to go on to the next don't with tucking. Just don't tucking do this, okay? Because it's bad. It's bad. And everybody's going to make fun of you. All the men are going to laugh at you if you do this. So you just got off work. Say you're like walking down, you know, you're through the financial district and you're exhausted. You're headed, you know, home or to McDonald's or to Starbucks again or Jamba Juice. And you just want to untuck. You're just like, I'm done tucking. I'm just untucking, and then like half the shirt is wrinkly, and all the men know you are untucked. It's like either tuck or don't tuck. Don't half tuck. Don't do this, and don't half tuck the shirt, because I'll show you what it looks like. And the guys just are so, they're not happy with it. They'll be like, what are you doing, dude? Don't do that. So here's and it just kind of looks like, yes, you're tired. Yes, you've worked a really long day. You're headed to the bar, and the part of the shirt is nice and pressed, ironed and lovely, and the tie is still being worn but looser. And the shirt is relatively of good quality and fits well. But then, it just looks like this on the bottom. It looks like this, looks like a jellyfish. And it's still buttoned, and it looks like this on the bottom. No. This is not good. See, it's not easy to be a guy. He's tired. But, as they say, make a choice. If you're gonna tuck it, then tuck it. If you're gonna untuck it, untuck it. But don't do it halfway. I think that's really kind of what the point was of all of the things that I read. All the don'ts. And let's give this gentleman some pants. They say if there's tails on the shirt, you should definitely tuck. There are some choices. You can tuck a t-shirt in some regions, and this is what I read. It's so crazy. You can tuck some places the t-shirt into the pants where the belt is, you know, and some places it's dorky, and they're like, don't tuck that t-shirt. So be mindful of the region and the local fashion customs. That's all the advice they could give. How are you supposed to know? I guess you could look it up ahead of time, or just observe the fashions of the other men, or just do your own thing. You know, sometimes you just got to go for doing your own thing. But this is more for if you are a professional man in business, rather than, you know, just going about your life in a different way. A professional man. And the thing is, like, all the other professional men are looking at you. It's not easy. It's just not easy. What other colors? You know, some of the men are wearing like pastel shirts, pastel pinks. We talked about it earlier. Those are more confident men. Let's give him, you know, two different colors of stripes. And then this can be really illustrated here about the desperation and exhaustion of this man's life. Or maybe it's just been a long day. Don't even get me started on ties. That's a whole nother situation. I didn't even want to explore it. I looked at it a little bit, and I saw these different ways that a man could tie his tie, and ways that he could kind of half untie it, and it was like, okay, that's enough for one day. The tucking is enough. I'll just stick to that. Let's give him a striped tie. A nice striped tie. And I like, you know, my boyfriend and I have come up with different names. We've been observing this tucking for a long time, and this is not the first time that we've thought about it. We've come up with different names for the different ways to tuck. This is called part-time tucking. It's a half tuck. Part-time tucking and full-time tucking are different. There are men that'll tuck full-time. And there are men that will play Black Sabbath in their car, blasting it on the way to the office, and they are part-time tuckers. They're like, you can't fool me, you are part-time tucking. Part-time. Oh. There's been a question from a guest. Thank you. Is a mullet tuck acceptable? Front tucked, back untucked? It's a really good question. I actually haven't seen this on the sites where I was. I did not notice that this was a tucking option, but I would imagine that the mullet tuck was probably just the same as a half tuck, a part-time tuck. A mullet tuck says, I either forgot to tuck the back, I'm drunk, or I'm lazy, or I just forgot, and I'm overworked, and leave me alone. Or, you know, I don't think it's acceptable. I mean, I really think anytime you're part-time tucking, in the business world or the executive world or where a professional man might work, it's looked down upon. In a casual way, I would probably ask another man. You know, ask a man that you trust, somebody that you really trust, that you love. Ask a man that you trust and love if a mullet tuck would be acceptable. I'm not sure. I would say, is it a t-shirt? I don't know if it's okay. Because I'm so hesitant, I would imagine that, you know, in this situation, it would probably be best to either tuck or don't tuck. But let's draw for our guest who's wondering, because I'm not sure what, I need to just draw it to see what it would look like. Let's do a mullet tuck, and I like that. I'm going to use that. Let's unpeel this one, see if it's, okay, this is a good time to unpeel this because the paper is not sticking. Is this transferring? It is. Observe. We're getting a nice transfer. Getting a nice transfer. Nice transfer. And these will be painted over. Maybe the backgrounds will be kind of, and one might ask, why would you transfer it instead of just drawing it right onto the panel? And that would be a good question. The answer is, I like the unpredictability and the textures and the variation you get in line with the transfer and the gel and the material. You see that you get like a nice, strange kind of ghostly effect, which you can rework and go in and make it a little bit more bright, and sometimes the paper sticks, and I like that too. It's just a way to get a little bit more variation, and I kind of like to be surprised with I like a little bit less control and kind of giving it up to the materials to decide how it's going to turn out. Because then it just keeps me entertained. Part-time tucking, there you go. Let's transfer this guy on, then we'll do a mullet tuck, because I do like that. I haven't seen that yet, but I'm sure that when I do see it, I will be appalled and disgusted, as many of the other men will probably be in the financial district or perhaps in the marina district of San Francisco. But there they all wear yoga clothes now, so, I mean, the landscape is changing, fashion's changing. We have to be up on everything. Recently we went to this kind of park area. It was crawling with men with their shirts tucked. They were walking and laughing and carrying Starbucks cups and Jamba Juice cups, and we're like, how are they keeping their shirts tucked in, being so active? I'm about to answer that question. I was wondering, and a lot of other people wondering too, how the men keep their shirts tucked in like that when they're just, you know, about town. I don't know about you, but I don't like tucking my shirt in because it's always a problem. Like, I'm like one of those nervous tuckers that keeps tucking and like fidgeting, and I'm just like, this is too much work, dude. I'm just really paranoid that my shirt is going to come untucked at the wrong times. Like when I'm trying to look cool and impress, and then it just untucks. It's just too stressful. Because it's all about looking good, and when you can't look good and your shirt's untucked, it's just, or it's half tucked, or you forgot to tuck the back, or else you tucked it too far and it's all bunchy. Too much work. So I just leave it I'm an untucker. I just don't tuck. Who knew you could go like, who knew that you could go into another world with this? If anyone else has any questions, feel free to chat. The feature on the website is there. Write in with a question. I'll do my best to answer it. And if you have any ideas for a different way to tuck, I'd love to hear it. Oh, look it. I'm kind of liking the way the gel is spreading the colors of the color. This is one of those watercolor pencils, and it's really cool because the gel is water-based, and so you get like a really nice wash effect, which was not intentional, but I'm glad it happened. So you can kind of see what's happening here, and it gives like a wonderful movement as the man is rushing to the bar down the street from his place of employment. The mullet tuck. I imagine the mullet tuck is probably more like for a younger man, perhaps like maybe college age, where he's new to school. Perhaps maybe he goes to UC Berkeley and maybe he's from San Diego and he's like trying to look a little more sophisticated but not too uptight. It's a really awkward time for a guy. So he does kind of a mullet tuck. He goes like, yeah. And this probably only works well with maybe more of a slender man, because I can't imagine it probably wouldn't look very good on a larger gentleman. I'm imagining the shirt is kind of tucked in the front, and then the back tail is just, I don't like this at all. I hate that I'm drawing it, and I hate that it could exist in for real. And then here's a tie. Perhaps there's a tie. I don't even know when it would be a situation where this could be acceptable. I mean, I'm no expert, but I pay attention to aesthetics, and I'm already unhappy with what's happening with this drawing. I'm drawing him kind of walking and like hopefully depicting the movement of the shirt and how upsetting it is. It's really, this is kind of what I imagine, like that's the tail. It's just flopping about. It's just like not okay. It's just flopping about in a way that's offending everyone he passed. Well, some people probably don't care, actually. Oh, this is completely different. Okay, another guest writes in, what if you have a cool belt buckle, like a cool belt buckle, like a belt, you want to show it, but you don't want to look all tucked in? That's a good question. That's completely different from what I just drew. That's like the cool, nonchalant, like kind of tuck. That's the kind of tuck. It's okay to just like a tiny bit tucking. I think that's different than like a full-on half tuck. That's different than a full-on half tuck. That might be a do, actually, because you've seen that and it looks kind of good. But I think the shirt is kind of mostly tucked in, and there's just a little bit of maybe untucking happening, just in it, but in a way that maybe perhaps you moved and it little like untucked. It's really complicated. It's really complicated. This looks more like the guy's drunk at a wedding. This is what happens when you drink too much at a wedding. And maybe you're one of the groomsmen and they're like, sir, please, sir, please tuck your shirt in, sir. I was a little confused. See, I'm thinking in extremes. I'm thinking about the executives and the businessmen and the ways that the cool guys are different. That's a whole nother story. And that's kind of not what this is so much about. That's a kind of a different look. This is more of a kind of a GQ sort of business casual to business professional look. And this gentleman, perhaps, he kind of looks like he's wearing a tuxedo, but it's not. This is a full mullet tuck, and I think perhaps like way on the much gentler side would be like this tiny tuck. The tiny tuck would be the cool, like I have a cool belt buckle on. Maybe it says like "Don't touch my fly," or it says Led Zeppelin, or it says something like that. It's like more rocker. Then it would be okay to do a tiny tuck, I think. But I mean, like I said, I'm no expert. I just observed this stuff. I have no idea. I'm as confused as you are, dear viewers. I'm as confused as you are, and as nervous. of all this tucking going on. Let's give the man, let's give him like a gentle plaid. And I like to use 3 colors at once. A gentle plaid. And then there are some very brave men out there. Really, really brave gentlemen that will tuck no matter what the weather. They will tuck no matter if it's their day off or not their day off. And they will tuck no matter what anyone thinks. And those are the men who I love to draw, and that's the guy that I illustrated at the beginning, tucking against the odds. He's tucking against society. He's tucking against his family. He's tucking against everybody that ever told him he couldn't do something. He's tucking against gravity, and he's just tucking really, really hard. And that gentleman, a brave, brave soldier. Keep tucking, my friend. Keep tucking. If a man likes to tuck, you can't make him not tuck. These guys, these part-time tuckers, they're not for real, you know? They tuck, but they don't mean it. As soon as they get in their car, they untuck. And they throw on a t-shirt and some jeans and then go get a pizza. They're not really tucking. They're not living a life. Tucking isn't just tucking your shirt in, you guys. Have you noticed? Tucking is a lifestyle. It's a philosophy. Tucking is a way of life. This isn't true tucking. I don't know what this is. This is just this is part-time tucking. Now, after the show, hopefully when you go out into the world and you walk down through the financial district of San Francisco and you look at the men holding their Starbucks and their briefcases, look for the guys that are truly believing in the tuck, wearing the tuck proudly and honoring the techniques of the tucking and the movement of the shirt. Honor those men. Give them the nod, you know? I was noticing on some of these fashion sites for guys, there is, you know, desperate times call for desperate measures, and if you are noticing that your shirt constantly comes untucked, perhaps like if you're tucking against the odds, if you're a larger man, or just a man that is having a hard time keeping it tucked, you can buy what's called a shirt stay. It clips onto your shirt and it clips onto your socks. And when you lift your pants and tuck your shirt, it will stay. It will stay there. It's hard to get used to the elastic bands as you're walking around, but, and I quote, kind of quote, sort of remembering, the man who wrote it said that though the bands were hard to get used to, the compliments he received for like the sweetness and the properness of his shirt being, and he apparently received a lot of compliments that day on his shirt being tucked in properly, it far exceeded the discomfort of the elastic bands he was facing. And that was written there. So those shirt stays can help a man to be a full-time tucker if he is. Another way to do it is to tuck into the underwear tuck, for real. Tuck into the pants and then into the underwear. And if you wear a full like boxer brief, I think it works better than regular boxers. But you can also keep your shirt, keep it tucked that way. The underwear tuck. Do you see what I mean? It's another world. It's a world I had no idea was so complicated. Next time you walk down there, just look around and just appreciate the hard work that went into that tuck-in. And appreciate how good it feels to tuck and to walk walk down the street with a drink in your hand from a restaurant or a place that you recognize the brand of. Like, just appreciate how it feels to hold the security of a Starbucks latte while you're walking and tucking at the same time. The comfort of that is there's truly no words. And these guys don't know that. Like mullet tuckers and like part-time tuckers, like they don't know. They don't know. Like they don't understand. They don't understand that kind of goodness, that kind of sweetness. It's all right. If your shirt is coming untucked pretty often and you're noticing this, there is a way, a quick way to solve that problem. It's called the military tuck. It's where it's like you fold half of it on the side over and then tuck. It's like fold, it's like tuck and then retuck. It's a double tuck, okay? The military tuck. You can try that at home if you want to. Next, since we have like these guys that are just like totally disrespecting the tuck, just like not, they're just like part-time tuck. They're posers, they're part-time tucking. They're part-time tucking, you guys. This is all going on that mural that I'm working on. I don't know if you've seen some of the episodes of Tharp World past in the past couple of weeks, but there's a whole mural on fashion. I've focused on women's fashion a lot, but now it's time for the men. They will have their day, and these men especially. This guy looks crazy. Like, he just looks, I love the movement of him. He just looks, this guy's deeply troubled. I don't know what his deal is. Let's try not to read too far into that. The proper tuck, you know, we all know how to properly tuck. Tucking against the odds, or tucking hard against the odds, depending on what a man is dealing with at the time. Tucking against the odds is tucking against gravity and all that nature is, all that he's working with, you know, naturally. It's usually a large gentleman. He has a large, he has a cup of Starbucks and a constant problem. A constant problem. And that is the untuck. And you've seen these guys in San Francisco. They're professional men. They're good, hardworking professionals. But it's very, very difficult for them. Because the shirt is either too baggy or it's not too baggy. It's just a problem. Always. Because every time the man moves, the shirt becomes untucked. I like when a bunch of these men are walking together and you're like, brave soldiers, continue. Continue to fight the good fight. Keep going, keep tucking, keep retucking. Tuck 1,000,000 times a day if you have to, but don't stop tucking. Keep on tucking. A good latte and then a nice song in the man's head, filling his mind with good thoughts. Hopefully he's making lots of money. Because he's tucking hard against the odds. Against society and really against everything. Bless him. Bless him. There wasn't a lot of advice for these guys, unfortunately. As I looked over the different blogs on Pinterest and on the sites, fashion sites for men, there weren't a lot of things for men who were tucking against the odds to do. They were like, well, guys, you're kind of on your own. Good luck. As long as you line up your tie, your belt buckle, and all the buttons on your shirt, that's okay. And that's pretty much the only rule. let's make his shirt like a nice, kind of a nice pink. Little notes. Just little notes. A fashionable man. Let's give it some. I love being able to design as I go the patterns for their shirts. Add some black to this. Another common mistake that men make is they buy the clothing too big or too small. Usually too big. And it shouldn't be all billowy. It shouldn't be like you're wearing a parachute or like, I mean, I think it's a pretty common problem. And something that I've noticed in those sites too is like the guys really don't want to look juvenile. They don't want to look too young. They want to look professional and mature. And so if you wear your clothes the wrong size, it can give absolutely the wrong impression in the profession, in the workplace, and in life. So guys, don't buy clothes too big. Don't buy them too small, but don't buy them too big. They were showing extreme examples, and it was really not pretty. I mean, it's not as bad as part-time tucking, I'm telling you. Like, it's better than that, but it's still not okay. There's so many rules. This guy's he's a full-time tucker for sure. He's tucking because he likes to. And some guys do. Like you see him out, you know, Europe was full of guys that tucked constantly and were enjoying the tuck. I noticed that when I went to France. A lot of men were tucking in their shirts just on a Sunday. You know, they weren't even working. They were tucking for the fun of it. They were tucking because they liked it and they liked the way it looked. But it seems like American men like to untuck on the weekends. And that's okay too. It's just different. But because of that, you know, the tucking looks a little awkward because it's not something they really want to do. Like, kind of like wearing a uniform, I guess. And then when you have to tuck against the odds, you're doing more than your job. You're doing two jobs. You're doing the job you're getting paid to do, and then you're doing the job of like keeping your shirt tucked in. And hopefully you have some of those little shirt stays. You know what they also make? Magnets. You can get magnets that attach to the shirt and the inside of the pant, and the shirt will stick to the magnet and hopefully stay tucked. There's all these different apparatuses that they have to keep the shirt tucked. I didn't even know. I'm going to have so much more compassion now. I've been shown another way. Okay. And this one's ready. This is our mullet tucker. I love that. Whoever wrote that in, genius. Genius. I love the different names for the different ways to tuck. There's not a lot of names on the internet. They're not really, they're exploring different ways, but they're not exploring names for the different ways. And it's so fun to label things. I love those blue pants. This guy was, yeah, the mullet tucking is, this extreme mullet tucking is pretty intense. The gentle, tiny tuck that our viewer was talking about, I think where it's this is not cool. Like, first of all, there's nothing cool on these outfits. This is workwear. So the tiny tuck showing off a cool belt buckle is different. That's a whole nother episode. It may be the second episode where we get into more hip clothing or more, you know, I don't know, it's a different vibe. So what not to do. And these will be our do's. Do tuck against all odds. If you're a man tucking, fully tuck, embrace it. Embrace and love the tuck. If you're having a hard time tucking, just get an apparatus to help you. A magnet or a shirt stay. You can also invest in a couple of suitsies. I've talked about these before. I'll talk about them again. Something I love, I believe in. I would invest in it probably, maybe I still will. It's a one-piece jumpsuit like mechanics wear, but it's a business suit. It's a shirt, a jacket, and a pant sewn together with a zipper. You can just jump into it, zip it up, and go. It's for the lazy businessman. It's the real thing. I read about it. Thursday's Chronicle a couple weeks ago. The Suitsie. You guys can look. You can Google it. It's real. And it's funny, but it's true. And men are having such a hard time tucking that they have to make an invention where they can just like forget about the tuck because it's so hard to deal with sometimes. So the Suitsie is definitely a do in my book. Keep it simple. Just the whole thing can be one. I don't think they make a Suitsie for a man for a larger gentleman. I think the Suitsie is mostly for a more slim gentleman, unfortunately, because I don't think they come in various sizes, because something that I noticed in the picture was that the Suitsie does gather in a little bit kind of an awkward way. It gathers at the armpits, and it gathers a little bit strange as the man moves. You can tell it's one garment. If he stands still, it's fine, but if he moves, you can tell something's amiss. It's still in its research mode. It's still in its very, very early stages of development. So be patient, guys. Be patient. Tucking against the odds. A brave soldier of tuck. Tuck on, my friend. Tucking against the odds. The only problem with the Suitsie is when somebody asks for your jacket because it's cold, like a lady or maybe a nice other gentleman, and he's cold, and he's like, I need your jacket, I'm freezing, and you're like, well, I kind of can't take it off. And you're like, why not? I'm cold, San Francisco, it's freezing. It's like, well, I can't because it's sewn to my shirt. Awkward. 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 So awkward. So lastly, we will illustrate. Lastly, we'll illustrate the Suitsie. How am I going to illustrate the Suitsie? Because it looks just like a suit. I think what I'll have to do is maybe draw the back of it to show the zipper. That's really the only way that you could. But where is the zipper? Is it in the back? 15 minutes left? My God. Okay. Yes. Yes. We got a viewer has written in, keep on tucking, y'all. Keep on tucking. Fight the good fight. Keep tucking it. The Suitsie. I'm going to draw a man stepping into his suit. I'm going to draw his... He's putting the suit on. He's stepping in to, here's his undies, his bottom. He's stepping into the pant. This is kind of weird. No one's going to know what this is. He's stepping into the pant. I'm going to make his leg, I'm going to kind of make this a bit interpretive. And then Here's the tie. Here's the tie. This is live TV, you guys, so, and then maybe he's tying the tie. Well, he doesn't need to tie it because it's already attached. He's holding the tie beautifully while the other hand is like buttoning up the rest of the suitsie. It doesn't need a button. Because it's all one piece. It's, how awkward is it getting into the suitsie? What is it? So here's the belt is sewn on. And like, how does the man put his, this is him running out the door. Like, putting on the suitsie and like trying to catch his casual carpool. He's like, whoa, I'm late. He kind of looks like the guy on the Monopoly game. And then here's like his coffee. He's holding his coffee. This is like here's his Starbucks. A man who wears a suitsie does not trust coffee from a place that he does not recognize. He needs a corporate logo on that coffee cup. Perhaps it's a coffee cup with the corporate logo that he works for on the coffee. There, but where it's probably Starbucks. And he's like, okay, oh my god, I'm late. And here's his boxer briefs, the Calvin Klein. And his hairy legs. And yeah, so this is kind of, and then here's the belt. It's like, I think you probably want to attach the belt. This is like a mess. This is a mess. I didn't even think about this. So if the man's so lazy that he can't even put his shirt on and his pants separately, how is he going to manage to get himself into the suitsie? This is a big problem. And I didn't even realize it until I started drawing it, that this is going to be a disaster. Because like if you put it on wrong, people are going to be like, what the hell is wrong with your clothes, man? What the hell is wrong with you? And I'd be looking down and he's like wearing the shirt like on his legs and he's wearing the pants like through his arms and he's like, oh my god. Yes, yes. How weird it does get for us poor humans, huh? I don't know, I still think it's a fashion do. If you can actually get it right, I think it can be a really nice, a simpler way to be, a simpler way to live. Less waste, sustainable. Let's get this guy unpeeled here, the dude that's tucking hard against the odds. Brave soldier, keep tucking. Tuck what anyone else thinks. We know how much you love to tuck. And we believe in you. And in all things beautiful and pure. Oh my god, the suitsie is a mess. This thing's a disaster. I didn't even think about how difficult it would be for a man to actually figure out how to put it on. I'm gonna have to draw the pants brown because it probably comes in different colors. And my deepest apologies if I've rendered the suitsie in a way that it does not look. This is all from memory. I'm sure that it looks much better than this. But give yourself some time, guys. If you have time to go through the Starbucks, then you have time to put the suitsie on. I still don't know how it works. I don't know where the zipper is, if it's a zipper, or if it's a series of buttons or magnets or clips or what it is, how it stays on. But that's why we wonder and dream. And that's why we ponder, that's why we make art. Because we don't know all the answers. The reason I have to do this in such a different pattern is because no one is going to know what this, no one's even going to know what this is, for one thing. If you haven't seen the episode, you're going to be like, what is this? It looks like a spider, octopus, guy choking himself. And perhaps all of those things are correct. That is crazy. I'm looking forward to putting this on I will post pictures of how these pieces fit onto the wall that I'm working on in my studio. All of the different pieces that I've been doing over the past few weeks have fit into this mosaic of different, snapshots of faces and people's clothing, and it's turning into a kind of a cool collection. I'll post some pictures of it. I'll be out of town next week, but the following week I'll return for more Tharp World. Okay, let's put this guy, let's put him with one more. Oh, let's take a coffee break. Speaking of coffee. Oh, 5 minutes left. It's time to wrap it up. Time is money, people. Isn't it funny that we ended up doing more don'ts than do's? And I didn't even get into being able to illustrate the different clips and devices used to hold the shirt in place. Maybe next time I can do some other kinds of tucking, like maybe different hipster tucks, because we haven't even gotten into hipster tucking yet. I mean, there are a lot of plaid shirts and a lot of beards out there. I don't know. That could be a whole nother episode. I don't know what you guys think. You got to tell me what you want to see. I want to give you guys what you want. So if you want to see that kind of tucking, we can go even deeper into the world of barbering, plaid shirts, beards, tucking, mason jars, little terrariums. I mean, there's a whole nother world we could explore. There's more to tucking than just financial district tucking. This is just one little region. This is just one little cross section of the world of tuck. We haven't even explored all of it at all. Whoa, his feet don't fit on here. Oh well, let's do that. This looks crazy. This looks just so funny. I love I love his butt. I think this looks like it kind of ties like a little bow in the back or something. It's just really weird. It ties on like a hospital gown or something. Oh, guys. Uh-oh. There's been a lot of feedback. It's been a lot of feedback this time, which is great. And we'll be going back in. Another thing we can do is we have only a few minutes left, but what I'll be doing with these pieces is going back in and drawing on top of them, which is really fun. You can fill in spots, you can make spots darker, you can go back in with the pen or pencil and kind of rework these pieces. So this technique is really a lot of fun. Once you can make the darker parts darker if you want. I encourage all the artists out there to try using the gel transfer technique. It's really good. I use it a lot, actually.
Sometimes these like little accidents turn out to be exactly what you needed to give the piece like that randomness that you can't kind of get if you have too much control. So something like that. And you can kind of paint over them, but I love this one. How we got this kind of blurred edge. Let's see if this dude's ready. Oh, not yet. I don't know if we'll have enough time to unpeel him. I might have to unpeel him after the show is over because we are running out of time. It is almost 7 o'clock, and we have done so much exploration of this one particular form of fashion. It's boggled my mind because it's only opened up the door for more questions, just more pondering to be done. Anyway, I have so enjoyed the time spent with you guys and all of the interaction that you've had with me, and thank you so much for watching Tharp World. If you missed the show, you can always see it on YouTube, and all the other episodes are there too. Live at the Compound Gallery Wednesdays at 6, and we love you, and thanks so much for watching. Good night.